Hey there, Truth Seeker. Welcome to our channel and community where we discuss 13-sign astrology. Our focus today is the lunar eclipse occurring Monday, March 25, 2024 at 8 p.m. in New Zealand. For friends and followers in the United States, this equates to 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We will spotlight and interpret the moon's trine with Pluto in Capricorn, the sun's conjunction with Neptune and Icarus, and the sun's trine to Pallas Athena, who has just entered Ophiuchus for the first time since 2019. A lot is going on, so let's jump in. Part 1, Introduction. My name is David Keratin. Today my twin flame Sana and I will both narrate. To help align with your divine design, we recommend obtaining a personalized 13-sign natal chart. Understanding your cosmic blueprint can enhance your connection to Source. Also, have you considered a reading to ignite your inner fire, unlock your potential, or let go of karmic baggage? To access either of these options, please click the link in the About section located at the foot of the page. We look forward to hearing from you. Part 2, Lunar Eclipse. Anytime there's an eclipse, it adds to, amplifies, and heightens the underlying energies of the planetary bodies involved. On March 25, there will be a penumbral eclipse, which means the moon passes through the Earth's shadow. Astrologically, this event reminds us to acknowledge and embrace those parts of self that we deem socially undesirable. Shadows arise when light is blocked, the light of conscious awareness. Shadow aspects are also known as the ego-dystonic complex or ego-dystonia. They refer to the negative assessment we cast about our thoughts or emotions whenever we assess them as incompatible with or unacceptable to our ego identity. For clarity, the ego identity encompasses a person's understanding of who they are, what they stand for, and how they relate to the world. Driven by knee-jerk reactions and cognitive biases, the ego identity operates beneath the waking consciousness. When responding to external stimuli, it is typically impulsive and at times wildly irrational. We believe, therefore, that the ego identity possesses consciousness, which is not aware of the human soul, nor is it present in the existence of the higher self. The ego identity is disintegrated from the unified self, which encompasses our soul and our higher awareness. Thus, the ego identity complex revolves around itself as the author of its experiences. It has set for itself an idealized image of its role in the human psyche. Because it emerges spontaneously, beginning in childhood, it is a product of what we were predominantly exposed to during our formative years. We develop ego identity via the process of adaptive intelligence. We structure our ego ideal and personality as a mechanism to guide social interactions, filter perceptions, and assess danger. Any of you with kids between ages 4 and 10 can observe how the ego consciousness modifies itself depending on the surroundings, and how chameleon tendencies crop up. By structure, we mean that the nascent ego identity was built in response to external feedback. If, as children, we internalized positive reinforcement, it's more likely that we will have a robust ego identity. We'll enjoy a positive inner dialogue, we will hold an affirming self-image, and we will feel like success is within our orbit. These are the core pillars of muscular self-belief. Conversely, if when growing up we internalize negative reinforcement, it's more likely that we will have a frail ego identity unable to withstand the vicissitudes of life. Consequently, we develop a negative inner dialogue. We may, in this context, deem ourselves unworthy or incapable of achievement. Such erroneous judgments diminish us, leading to low self-esteem. Ego-dystonia describes a phenomenon in which we deem our actions inconsistent with our behavioural template. We are talking here about the process of self-recriminations, which manifests whenever we feel or think we have betrayed our moral compass. This could be as small as calling yourself a klutz for bumping into something in the kitchen, shying away from public speaking, not putting your hand up for a task you know you can accomplish, or hiding your light out of fear. In full-blown form, ego-dystonia morphs into addictions, delusions of grandeur, hubris, and a distorted view of reality. Often, without consciously realizing, we vow, based on these childhood beliefs, to act only in a manner consistent with the carefully curated image we wish the world to see. During a penumbral lunar eclipse, the moon's tidal pull stirs up subconscious memories that lurk in the shadows of individuals and the collective. Shadow represents our emotional and mental blind spots, the alienated or disowned parts of self the ego identity does not wish to acknowledge. The disintegration is subtle, and to be clear, we are referring here to fragments of traumatic experiences floating in the ethers. At times, because of stress, we fail to integrate pain into our awareness by recognizing it as a teacher. That failure likely arose because we lacked the tools needed to navigate our way through challenging tests of character. Shadow grabs our attention via strong, destabilizing emotions like guilt and shame. It can also be triggered when we play the role of victim-savior, slip into a sin-salvation mindset, or become stuck in a disempowering leader-subordinate paradigm. Unfortunately, when shadow shows up, the infantile ego typically rejects its presence, shunning its cries for help. At this point, the ego identity becomes maladaptive, that is, resistant to the integration of shadow aspects. When thwarted, the ego identity projects frustration, relentless anger, passive aggression, or profound sadness. The effects of eclipses can be perceived for 3 months either side of the event itself, depending on the specific configuration of your 13 sign astrological blueprint. For empowering and enabling insight on this, order your personalized chart today. The lunar eclipse is about the planes of existence, whereas a solar eclipse deals with actions. For some, this may be a time of intense reflection, introspection, and transition. Right now, some of you may feel discombobulated. The good news is that you're on the cusp of a significant emotional and mental purge, something we'll talk about next.
Thank you, David. Part 3, Moon, Trine, Pluto in Capricorn. In Part 2, we established that the ego identity first emerged in childhood, and we accept that it is, for better or worse, only aware of itself. Because it operates in the substrate of our being, and it is focused merely on self-preservation and sensual gratification, ego identity can, at times, be problematic. Most of us can relate to the concept that our head and heart may be misaligned. This leads to uncertainty and procrastination. Thus, shadow work is broadly about integrating into a unified whole 3 levels of consciousness: our ego identity, soul, and higher self. When doing readings, we describe the Plutonic pathway as a 3-step process. First, we generate awareness of negative frequencies in our life, either internal or external, and we seek to transmute these. Second, we transform negative situations and scenarios through conscious will and intention. Third, once we have transmuted negative energy and transformed a regressive situation, we are positioned to transcend the underlying beliefs located at the core of all experiences. Therefore, Pluto's pathway describes a process of transmutation, transformation, and transcendence. Pluto is where we break through or we break down. In the quantum reality, everything we think or say or do ripples out before eventually returning to us. The ego identity let's call it our inner child, can function autonomously from the soul and the higher self. It makes little difference to its algorithmic programming that the human body contains other types of adaptive intelligence and consciousness. With Pluto in a favorable trine to the moon, for anyone wanting to purge trapped emotions, renew their mind, or regenerate their soul, the universe is saying go, go, go. Clear intentions need to be set for this to occur, and it helps too, around the time of the full moon, to undertake a symbolic ritual, marking your transition to higher levels of awareness. Part 4. Sun conjunction with Neptune and Icarus in Pisces. The Penumbral eclipse is about shadow work. We have spoken so far about the moon's quantum entanglement with the planes of existence. Of course, at any full moon, the sun sits directly opposite, reminding us that our emotional and psychic experiences should ultimately lead to action. In the cosmic wheel, Neptune, as the guardian of Pisces, is in his home sign. Given that he takes about 165 years to orbit the sun, Neptune was last here around 1859. In our readings, we describe Pisces as the house of dissolution and emergence. It is in Pisces that we experience the Ouroboros cycle, symbolized by a snake eating its tail. Neptune epitomizes the process of life, death, and rebirth. Timely then that this energy is present right now. In a sense, when we recognize the limitations of the ego identity and it becomes aware of the human soul and our higher self connection to source, we cycle through Neptunian death and rebirth. We dissolve, then emerge, renewed. The Icarus myth speaks of peril and caution. With the brashness of youth, Icarus, despite warnings from his father, flew too close to the sun. The Icarian Sea in the Mediterranean is thought to have been named after Icarus plunged to his demise. When paired with Neptune in the sun, the archetypal insight for shadow work is don't bite off more than you can chew. With that said, Icarus is about having the courage to take calculated emotional risks, which means being willing to get out of your comfort zone so you can push the boundaries of mental limitations set by your ego identity. When stepping into this exciting world of transmutation, transformation, and transcendence, there is only so much you can do at any one time. Part 5. Sun trine Pallas Athena in Ophiuchus. Pallas Athena is among the highest vibrational energies we encounter in astrology. She is a key to the re-emergence of the divine feminine energies during the age of Aquarius, especially when visiting archetypal mother god Ophiuchus. Do you know where Athena is located in your 13-sign astrology chart? The last time Pallas was here at 0 degrees Ophiuchus was in December 2019. Pallas symbolizes strategic thinking. She was on the one hand a master in the art of war and on the other a patron saint over the arts. In Greco-Roman mythology, Pallas was well regarded. Her ability to see the big picture, make astute decisions, and counsel dominant males was a formidable combination. She was brilliant and brave. Her skill set speaks of whole brain thinking, the capability to access intuitive faculties and refined intellect. Pallas in Ophiuchus provides access to creative insight and innovative solutions. Astrologically, Pallas blends the masculine impulse of Mars, the expansive energies of Jupiter, her father, and the protective instincts of Arcturus. Right now, the trine from the Sun to Pallas in Ophiuchus can hastily propel you. As you consciously seek to transmute the negative energies of ego identity, transform limiting situations in your life, and transcend outdated beliefs using the Plutonic pathway, Pallas can be called on to provide otherworldly wisdom that takes you to another level. Part 6, Summary. As we conclude, let us reflect. A penumbral eclipse catalyzes shadow work. In this blog, we have deconstructed what the shadow is and how it came to be. The ego identity is oblivious to the presence of the soul and the higher self. It is a distinct consciousness structure. For this reason, it operates independently following an algorithmic script first established during childhood. When the ego identity encounters the elevated vibrations of our soul and higher self, it isn't happy. This can lead to petulant projection, pervasive fear, and disorientation. When following the Plutonic pathway, we access a proven methodology with which to powerfully navigate our shadow aspects. We transcend, transform, and transmute energies, situations, and beliefs. There is so much lined up in our favor at this lunar eclipse. For those looking to quantum leap, ride the prevailing energetics like a magic carpet. See you on the other side. Thank you for listening. We look forward to your comments. To support our work, you can donate or contribute via the Buy Us a Coffee link below. In the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe. You may also find us on Telegram or Facebook. Namaste. This has been a production of Star Kittens Media. All rights are reserved.